Hi, I'm Shemaya, and welcome to The Soft Spot, part of Plot Twist Please, the podcast. I wanted a place where I could give you a little nugget for your morning commute or for your afternoon lunch hour, just a little something. So, today I wanted to talk about self-image. And I tend to talk a lot about self-image in lots of different capacities, from lots of different angles, with Plot Twist Please, but I wanted to talk about what happens when your self-image changes. The mundane ways in which self-image can be improved, or the indirect ways that you might think have nothing to do with your self-image that actually have a tangible effect on how you feel about yourself. If you don't know, I like to talk about autism on here, if you're new here, because I am an autistic person. The soft spot is a place where I like to specifically talk about neurodivergence. In my other forms of media, I will include it as part of a larger scale analysis on like human behavior and psychology. But for the soft spot, I wanted to keep it focusing on neurodivergence, specifically autism. So if you don't know, I'm an autistic adult. And the thing about being an autistic adult is you realize very quickly as an autistic adult that there's so many resources catered toward autistic children, but not necessarily for those who don't have the benefit of the cuteness or innocent factor. You know, they are talking in full sentences and can disagree, and that makes people upset. So, or it can irk them. And of course, it's not as simplistic as that, but you know, for the sake of levity, we'll just boil it down to that. So I wanted to talk about self-image as it pertains to autistic adults, because a lot of autistic people go through their lives not understanding that all of the things that they've been told that they were supposed to do, or all the things they've been told that they were supposed to be, were contingent upon one person's survival mechanism, or group of people's survival mechanism that they were surrounded by that raised them. And since it is also Autism Awareness Month, because it is April, I really have been lately asking myself the question of why I do certain things. Do I do them to appease other people? Do I do them because I like them? Do I do them because I want practices like this to be a part of my life? Or do I do them because it's been normalized in front of me and I think that I have to do it in order to reach some sort of peak normalcy of humanness? I've been feeling that way about dating. I've been feeling that way about traditional career paths and certain traditional means of earning money, of sustaining myself. I've been contemplating as of late, what are the things that genuinely make me happy? Like, what are the things that make me want to get up in the morning? And the answer is there are lots of things that actually do that. And many of them don't have anything to do with what has been advertised to me. Like, I feel like I've always been shown images of expensive looking clothing and getting my nails done and going on trips, going on vacations, and that was advertised to me as self-love or taking care of myself. And sometimes I like to do those things. Sometimes I plan to take myself on a trip actually this summer. And I'm planning a cruise trip with a small group of people. So I do those things as well. But I also know that there are mundane things I can do every single day to feel like I'm taking care of myself. And the thing that they don't really tell you is that taking care of yourself actually feels good. Like going for a run or doing yoga or even doing my skincare. If I go through a day and I'm like, and I map out the day and I'm like, wow, these are all the things I'm going to do to take care of myself. Well, okay. The mapping out part isn't necessarily the fun part, because sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, am I going to get it done? Am I going to get to do my skincare and do my nails and wash my hair and meal prep and all that stuff that you have to do to, you know, be in a human skin suit? And sometimes you don't have to do them, but you want to do them. But there are some things you have to do. Like, you gotta brush your teeth, man. But I'm realizing that doing these things, accomplishing these mundane things in a day makes me feel good. Like, makes me genuinely feel lighter. And it's not so far as to say that, you know, I will never have mental health issues again if I put on a face mask. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But that being said, there's something that happens when you know you are capable of taking care of yourself. And as someone who lives by herself and has paid her own rent for the past 3 years without any help, I can honestly say that is an unbeatable feeling. Having your own, being able to sustain yourself, being able to take care of yourself, even with help, even with a roommate, even with occasional gifts from family members or loved ones. That is unmatched. And as an autistic woman, an autistic Black woman at that, who is the first woman in her family to pay her own rent, that feels crazy. And so sometimes I say all this not to brag, but to illustrate to you that if you zoom out at what you're able to do, even in a day, even if that's just brushing your teeth, even if that's making yourself a meal, it feels good to acknowledge that you are able to take care of yourself, even in the smallest, most mundane ways. Because that is a hefty feat for us disabled folk. Listen, if nobody told you, you're disabled, honey. If you're autistic, if you're on the autism spectrum, if you have some form of neurodivergence, you babes, 9 times out of 10, you're disabled. Someone had to tell you. So living in this world with all of this commotion happening, with people losing jobs left and right, with people losing whole careers at the drop of a hat, I hate to be the person to be like, being grateful, but actually you being able to take care of your human body is such an accomplishment. You being able to feed yourself today is such an accomplishment. You paying rent, an accomplishment. So don't get it twisted, boo. Don't get it twisted. You're working really, really hard, and you work hard every single day. And so sometimes taking a moment to zoom out and be like, wait a minute, there are people before me who weren't able to do this, who weren't even able to choose a career path, let alone be able to go to a job that is tiring, who weren't able to choose a career path, who did not have jobs. There are people who are horizontal to me in terms of like socioeconomic status who were not able to choose a career or do not have jobs. And even if you don't have a job, were you able to feed yourself today? That's an accomplishment. So, and the thing about self-image is it's kind of kooky and bananas, because I used to think that these self-love mantras were all some highfalutin woo-woo mess, to be frank. But you really do shape your reality in your mind. And again, that sounds crazy as someone who loves logic. You really can determine for yourself what your life is by the way that you see it. And no one else can do that but you. That's something that is in your power. Yes, life is hard. We have hurdles that we have to circumvent. There is structural inequalities that we have to fight every single day that we are actively working against. But how you're going to show up in that space, how you're going to show up in that reality is up to you. And that's all I have for you today. Be blessed, stay weird, stay tuned for the full-length podcast episodes, and I'll see you next time. Okay? All right. Bye-bye.